think there's plenty of empty seats. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hi. It's actually so nice to see people I haven't seen in a long time. Nice to see friends at the Poetry Project. Welcome, everyone. My name is Mira Narsaños. I'm the program director here. And I'm extremely thrilled to welcome tonight Sam, Ace, and Jess Barbagallo. Woo! I think it's the first time that you both read together, correct? The last time I think that Sam read was in 2019, and I think, Jess, this is your first official reading in the Parish Hall. I know you were...
No, I did it once before.
Oh, you did?
Like 10 years ago.
Okay. Okay. like another era, probably. Well, welcome back. Okay, so before I begin, I also wanted to thank our two guest introducers tonight, Sarah Jane Stoner and Ariel Goldberg. Thank you so much for doing this. And before I turn it over to them, just a few reminders and announcements. There's a beautiful book for sale. You can grab it over there. I want to start by saying this is Sam's latest book. It's beautiful. I deeply, truly recommend it. And what's coming up next week at the Poetry Project? Actually, no, on Friday, we do have a performance with Kyujang Levi-Lu, Roosbe Shadpei, and Yara, curated by Ethan Philbrick. On Monday, we have Ryan Eckes and Ariel Yellen, who is also here tonight. And on Wednesday, the 12th, we have Ron Padgett, who will be reading solo and launching his new book. I think that's it for readings. There are 2 all-gender bathrooms, 1 on the first floor, and 1 accessible bathroom to a sanctuary. Oh, Ethan. Hi, I just mentioned you. And 1 accessible bathroom to the sanctuary. If you need to get there, let me or anyone else on staff know, and we'll get you there. And I think that's it for announcements. Jess will read first, and I will turn it over to Sarah Jane Stoner for the introduction. Thank you.
Dear Peter, in her introduction to Jess Barbagallo's reading, she appends a salutation dating from the fall of 2009, when they first met in Wayne Kestenbaum's humiliation class at CUNY Graduate Center, toward the end of his time studying playwriting with Mac Wellman at Brooklyn College. To be frank, or Sally, Jess was then, and is now, that rare person who does so many things so well, it is hard sometimes to recognize all of them. Jess is a voracious reader, an incredibly precise editor, a relentless artist, a dedicated friend, an ethically genuine director, an essential collaborator who makes everything they are a part of better, and an artist-actor. Okay, not just an artist-actor, who arrives in every world that bears his feet with a generous empathy and sharp criticality that both denudes the world and submits to the grave alchemical potential of all of its horrors and charms. Submits to and refracts it as the material. Like Jess, his work has a humility that glistens and stinks. The glistening evoking something evanescent or chastely pornographic, the stinking a refusal to deny the everything of the body, a texture of intimacy, and what happens how and when things are carved up by the eye, by a word even, a designation. Speaking of new narrative, I've been diagnosed as a language poet once or twice, among other choice accusations, but with Jess, in conversation and in writing, the mode, hypnotic, folded, muscular, regressive, digressive, flagrant, shorn, has always been fantasy as authenticity, encounter as the moment, instinct toward auto-exposition is actual opportunity for all of the hands with all of the cards to be tipped at once. And by hands, I do mean genitals, or holes, if you'd prefer. And by cards, I mean all of the liquid intellectual motion you can bring to language as a vehicle for life or feeling. And I quote, "Pornography can show you the anus as a tunnel. Living taught me this, but then reading made it real." Jess's plays and other writings are a testament to the particular access granted the rife beauty of his subject, of all his subjects, reporting deep and knotty charms and dangers, blurring exposition and dialogue, making speech into further reports on this pervasive and sometimes chummy fear for sense within the reports, which could be animal sounds, a sense of what might happen, representing acceptance as beauty or traction, and desperation is the sincerest form of honesty or the most human denominator. His characters are often trying to work out a way to communicate and or figure out who they are and what is happening around them at the same time from a place of grounded myth. Watching Jess perform recently as Anna Kaluthia in The Barbarians, which just closed at La Mama, I found myself thinking about Jess as a metacritical presence whose necessary plan is everyone's plan. Let's go. But pay attention while you do it, okay? Or maybe you'll miss something really good and terrible. This is no doubt my limitation, but it feels difficult to identify another person with the range of auteurs, occasional corporate or institutional juggernauts, and audiences that Jess has possessed as vehicle and muse. Sort of like holding him as he giggles a little, as his Broadway smashed thumb is sewn up by a real live doctor. One is struck by an invert enormity, sort of like he and his work should and will be studied in the ongoing question of love. Love for action, love for the ridiculous, the phenomenon, the striving, the patience, the limp, the straddle, the shock, this weird combination of sharpness and suppleness that has everything to do with his worshipful indictment of the form. Everybody, Jess Barbagallo.
SJ, that was too much. I'm like blushing and my heart is going. How do I want this to be? I have handled so many mics in my life, but every time it's new. Okay. So I finished this at 6 o'clock this evening, I think. It's totally new. I've received one note on it. My friend in Chicago said, it's like 1,000 pieces of a cheesecake puzzle in a snowstorm. So I hope you enjoy it. This is called Piggyback, and it's dedicated to middle age. Jessie is currently preoccupied with the activity of the view through the bay window, the empty driveway, the 1990, adjacent a cascading hill always bubbling up with sewage. From the porch, oh yeah, well, I'd seen it happen to somebody before I did. I mean, she wasn't a close woman or nothing to me, not that she was nothing to no one. I did respect her. She got me thinking about my pension and my future. And a friend of hers who was closer than me, she tells me this woman, you know, who I thought had always been on her own, that once she wasn't. And she'd love this man who had a whole other life that he was living behind her back, and he, I don't know if it was a wife, he had something else in the back. And that hurts when their front is what they tell you is their back. And so now that other woman, she doesn't want to fall in love anymore. Good hangs like a question over the whole situation. As I recall, she had other ways of being alone, her work. Man, she got a belt. But then we don't talk like we did that one time, or few, when we did. Carol, upstairs, drawing her bath, watching her freckled, artificial breasts disappear in the lather, The neighborhood below her is deceptively small. In the motel, the clock reads 5:32 a.m. I don't like to be up now, and I'm up now as much as I'm down, honey. The clock, the bugs. I met this woman while I was working a job upstate. Name was Mary, and she told me it was near sinful that I didn't know the names of bugs, plants, trees, meaning the Latin and the specific names, I reckon. Oh, she was funny, old wild gal with that red kind of hair that starts narrow against the crags of her face and then gets up to something big as it droops down to her shoulders. Wasn't erotic, don't be jealous. But deep in myself, Lou, even while I was nodding at her teachings, I was thinking spiteful, stubborn things at her, the kind of funk I was hoping had been blasted out of me. I don't care, I'll never care, it's a bug, it's a flower, woman. Something from a movie I saw when the archaeologist man like Indy Jones, but not him, and a blonde English type wearing one of those desert hats, just smoldering across a fire because they wanted to bump, probably in a tent or a jeep. Only she got her old man just there and the locals and other foppy guys around the fire. And between all of them, these two stake their claims on what is important. They argue about adjectives. 5:34 a.m., sweating like Niagara, you'd laugh. I'm so damp in these sheets. Long for you. Chris tried against her life for the second time in Florida. Steve made the call. Life won, even if he's mostly a loser. The phone calls were histrionic for what was supposed to be a real nice vacation. Sal, my big hunky flop of a ride. I was looking at him from the end of the bed. It was exactly 4:35 in the morning. I remember it distinctly. He didn't seem to notice I was on my second cigarette as I blew my smoke all over the room. Nothing could touch him when he found his way to sleep. I'd like to watch him there all long-nosed and those thick brows I could lick for 7 Saturdays. He passed out clean in his whiteys after we finished the bottle, or he did. I was drinking slow, myself, and staring through several darknesses, sure my mother was hiding behind one or every one of them, just about ready to pick me up and take me home where I belong. I was taken in the night air, and sometimes what he was doing was gibberish to me. He was doing it at me, and as I seemed to be the ears he was speaking into, I murmured sounds all over that felt good, vibrating from my lips, which were soft and rubbed red. I fucked him for the quiet that would follow, although I did enjoy myself where we were going, because I always do. These shadows grew and retracted across the walls of this weird pay-by-night, with every headlight leaving us behind. Lord have mercy, only he don't. I need a Coke, but the vending machine won't eat my dollar. What am I doing here? The tranny and his bride took I-95. Yeah, I was seeing her for some time, like around in our shared circles. I don't know, it was just right. Her ass, won't lie. Weird like me, likes my stuff, what we get up to. Also just laugh together. Exactly the speed though, yeah. I do things. I pin, I screw. Got a running joke about goblin blowjobs. Daisy don't like her and I don't like Daisy. We share that dog now though. Never thought I'd be a step. In this little spot where she keeps the house as we like it, I found that too. From the mattress, Mona tells Mitch, I'm happy enough with Wade. Done with him, goodbye, he's with her, I'm with me, although I still think about his back, following his back. Pretty guy, pretty me, pretty us, twins for a long while until tenderness gone. I see him around at the 2 restaurants and the 3 bars. I love this place, but I can leave it, and they're stuck there because I go other places now. In fact, I'm in the other place now. It's just we were close for years, then she entered like she was going to blow up the world with her big doe eyes. I thought, friendship, but she was oblivious to codes of basic conduct, agended, like moving in slowly and stumbling over herself and trying to be me, in a way. Then Toshi, that dumbass retriever lab, ran away to another farm, or that was what they told the girls. Leanne heard the screaming, so she walked outside to put an end to it. I sat right here, didn't want to get involved in other people's business, although I suppose it was mine too. Stop fucking with my dog. Stop leaving your fucking beer cans all over the living room that I have to clean up like a maid. My crotch hurts. I mean, it's my doing. I wanted a big dick. I got a big dick. I wanted you because you were hers. Now you're mine, so I guess I'll just eat it. Lady Baby suspects they hate her mama. Lady Baby won't stand for that. Lady Baby thinks, while running that north ridge of the Atlantic, nothing, nothing, bird, rocks, nothing. Jeff was a turkey killer with a chin cleft like a handsome bottom at the bottom of his face. Must have saw some things in the Coast Guard off Alaska where he got shipped after some mediocre football playing, although he was not distinct for his stories. Later, he always had his face in Walden, only book he cared for. Then later, he built a shack and left it. Years passed, his heart went out from the abuse, and then, forced to quit some ugliness, it came back on. My friend said, "My dick's inside my body," and I couldn't handle that at the time, even though mine was too. If it don't read, it can't lead. If they don't know, they can't go. It's basic stagecraft, people, you know what I'm saying? The babysitter was covered in Vaseline in the dream that happened. It's fairly easy for your children to be molested in the dream that happened. In the dream that happened, the babysitter is thick with white folds, and she's moving towards the bed where the siblings are napping, although they are not napping. With creaking weight, she lowers herself as they hold their little breaths, and lowers herself, the walls a canary yellow. And then, in central New York, under the crucifix in the shabby den, the Pope speaks to the bundled, vaginaed lump on the couch. "And my son, you must continue to work. It is always the work. Across all the seas and lands you look across, to really be looking with your heat. You will see pain, most bald. Make not a mistake. Do not turn away. And you see there is joy too. You will see these forces in their codependent nature, perfectly bequeathed by the Father, these virtues that together make a glow which illuminates the darkness. It's global now, the darkness. The charity of being shown the real and actual pain is our one solace. And this you will give as you receive. You will give solace because you have received solace. Remember now, I am not speaking as myself, as my body gives way, as my successor is being chosen. The sovereign speaks through me, but for a short time. My private thoughts about the divine I will take with me back to the earth. You don't imagine such power as a child. Even I was a child. Look at me, soft and collapsed in my robe in my big chair. A child. Minnie, that tiny tank, did a rosary every evening in that low, moody room while her husband was at the bar. And it makes me sad a bit because all those prayers, and I try not to judge other people's religious habits because whatever gets you by, but all that faith did nothing to keep her from getting carted off to the nursing home. All those strident cries. She had a big family. She'd birthed a hell of a lot of kids. Her husband never had to suffer because they never do. The men go first. And when they go, those are supposed to be our honey days of freedom. If you can laugh about being alone. Not for Minnie. Her children said it again and again. I can't. And so they didn't, and she died. And I don't want to be on life support. I want you to smother me with a pillow. And then I want my ashes spread at Fairhaven near the loop. No funeral, no nothing. DeRay she must have been 16, feckless, pretty enough. Seemed like one of those dark-haired girls who falls into promiscuity out of boredom. There was the boy with the red hair and the boy with the brown hair and that Renaissance fair worker twice her age. He seemed unwell. I was taking my old dog Pepper, bless that lousy mutt, for a walk one night. This was the late 90s. I was still working at Krause, and I saw that girl all bundled up staring into this sad little trickle of water under the bridge we'd always pass, right outside the American Legion, holding a thermos in her hand. She was sitting with her girlfriend, and I don't quite know what I mean when I call her that. There was something happening, and even in the dark, it was dark, you could see they were sharing a blush, even though I suppose they were just talking about a book or a class or where they wanted to go next year. What troubled me is I looked down at Pepper and said, "Looks transactional, keep walking." "Come here, baby. I'm home, yes. Bad mommy needs bad things." What was I up to? What was I up to? Yes, that's it. Put on your jacket, baby girl. But the bus doesn't come and the sisters don't speak. And the girls did tell me as they got older that I had let them down, and that was hard, you know? That was really hard because I had always tried to give them everything, and I knew that what happened was not a gift, it was a mistake, an accident. I gave them a dad. I wanted to give them a dad because Robert was not going to be that. He didn't want to be that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I needed something for myself, too. I was young. I couldn't do it by myself. And I did think he was handsome. I thought he was charming and smart. I don't like everything that was modeled, that I modeled, to be clear. And how it hurt them, I also know they are fine, and they are their own people. I mean, when I held Mona while she was punching me out of her mind, wanting to die, I did that. And I can take that. Professor Wood was my history teacher, and when that stupid, foolish boy kicked that door down, well, I called him right up and said, "We're in trouble, honey. My mother cannot see this, and she's about to be home in just 2 days." So he came with his tools like a funny former hippie Jesus. He really did project that kind of feeling. It was what it was. Somebody had to be a carpenter in Cato, and he had the name for it. Stop thinking in your euphemisms, Sal. I know what you're thinking about, and I won't lie. Whatever you're thinking, I was thinking some of the same. I was convinced he only came because either he was hungry for me or my friend, this little dark-haired number who some people said was fast. No faster than anybody else in that dried-up haystack of a yawn. But that man, I will say, of all the creeps and liars that come rolling through, I don't think he ever laid a finger on anybody. He even taught me some history, too. I don't know if I want to talk about them. I'm private. But your message kinda intrigues me. What are you doing here? I didn't see your play, but I heard it was pretty good. So let me get this straight, Scoot. Mike was upset with Dottie, and this was before Eric, the guy with the early onset widow's peak, as you so ceremoniously called it, knocked her up. And then Mike, who had his own emotional problems, drank a bunch of Bacardis procured by that older gentleman he was telling me about, and then he took his feelings out on the door. I relate, Scoot. I won't lie. Somebody leaves me high and dry, there's going to be more than just a broke door in my wake, I'll tell you that much. I don't drink because of my condition. And it was never my thing. No, I mean, I was here. I know this place. I knew it was not adding up. I was very involved in my work. My work was maybe a way of differentiating myself from the way I understood myself when I was just walking around. I wasn't shapeless, but I was definitely shaped by them. I only know how to describe it naturally in elements. Wade was the weather. Huh. No, I don't know that book. I mean, in a way, they were playing catch-up with me because of how much I wanted, and then neither of us for 4 years ever enjoyed our feelings as something we actually wanted to say to each other. These objects are the feelings. We shared that. But yeah, now these are just mine. But you're an advocate. I became one through necessity. Carol did do his laundry, yes. She liked to grab him by the collar of his shirt. He wore a turtleneck under it like he was some kind of professional fisherman, only he didn't fish, except maybe now and again that blonde hot piece Debbie Dodge up at the Colonial on a Friday night. Now, one morning though, I saw her throw that shirt onto the front lawn, along with a bunch of other shirts. She didn't care if she brought shame to her family. I sort of admired her for that, thought it was honest in a situation that mainly wasn't. But maybe it was, and the rest of us were all too backwards to understand how this was just one group of people living their lives. The community can go fuck itself, is what she was saying. She was wild with beauty. You kind of bloom a certain way in your late 30s. It's that time right before you get a little too fixed in your face, and then all of it falls apart. Anyway, she was a woman experiencing the greatest love of her life under inopportune conditions. The unfortunate part is I think she passed that coping mechanism along to the kids. They've been trashing their lawns for the last 20 years. Which led me to wonder, was this an old plan? You know, that thought came to me in some kind of THC-induced epiphany. I think maybe that's where the last year went. Up in smoke. It's a movie. It's a joke, Rel. No, I mean, it wasn't a good joke. Jessie is sleeping in the closet. I am looking for Jessie, and Jessie can't be found, and it's really scaring everybody, and I know Jessie is here. Jessie is spared everything I suffer. Jessie is sleeping in the closet. I think you can use, synthetic assistance to open the truth portal if you commit to what you're doing. But I don't know if you do that. I hardly know you. Andre advises. One long paragraph of unpleasant, vulnerable honesty about your low opinion of yourself. I grab at my flesh. I need with a K. I cannot stop touching my hair. I send several desperate texts I lack the will to coherently respond to. I do not want to stand in front of you. I cannot handle your affection as I feel it is laced with expectation. I would not fuck me, so I do not expect anyone else to extend the hand. I think every compliment is laced with a caveat. I do not do my duty to the DSA. I have not taken to the streets. My drinking is a cave. I invite you to my cave and then make you wait in the kitchen while I clear hundreds of cigarette butts from the roof outside my window and light a $3.99 candle I bought from the bodega. Andre said something about converting disappointment into the fantasy that I am living inside a Bruce Springsteen anthem. I would rather obliterate myself again and again than relax. I missed that bus to Atlantic City that one time in college because I was intent on fucking a model who liked me for my short hair and senior status. Once, I sat on the floor and begged my girlfriend to let me jerk off while she changed into her clothes and ignored me. And in my mind, she looked at me cruelly, and she will carry that with her forever if she still remembers any part of that time. And then later, I forced her to scream into the phone, "I don't love you anymore." And still, I said, with my heart in my bed, I am confused. I saw her standing at the kitchen sink one morning when I was going to get a glass of water. The sun was hitting her hair, and I was like, oh, fuck, I get it. Houston, we have a problem. She was crying at the table when I got back to Ridgewood, and I was like, Tina, you guys didn't break up. And she was slobbering in her martini cup. Oh, but he doesn't invite me out anymore. And I said, you're never in town. Give the guy a break. He's doing his thing. You got me. Ain't I enough? What am I, chopped liver? No, she's crazy. Yeah, he was like that since we were small. He was always shutting the door and keeping me out. Did you know he was traumatizing himself? The boy was born with asthma, honey. He requires nightly care. Nah, she shares the bed with him, says his body is warm and small, and that's also how she can hear his breathing and know if he's in trouble. I don't believe that. I don't know. I'm sure a childhood illness makes you stronger, like the senator with the polio. I expect that boy is going to become a homeowner and find a fine job working for the state, probably in the carceral or policing capacities. And come on, honey, that ain't so bad. Calm down now. Why do you think I'm out here in Tucson? I fled. I was fleeing a monster. Ego death. She knows nothing about ego death. She is pure ego, but not pure, because that would be like actually an essence, something beautiful, like a cactus. She is violent and clueless about what she did to me, what she does to people. Did you listen to that? I can't. Vincent always had problems with his anger. And the wife wanted to confront the problems while also caring for those boys she kept popping out each year. I saw what he did. Cracked a diet dew. Made a butterfly or a ladybug out of wire in the barn while everybody else slept. I mean, where is your ego? Hang on, I'm driving through the mountains right now. Fuck, I'm gonna lose you. I gotta call you back. Chris prayed for Jeff, the turkey killer, to go away, ideally in a rocket ship or a car accident, and eventually he did, but not either of those ways. I mean, he didn't get far enough for full satisfaction, but you know, it was a means to an end. I kind of liked his ass around. Had a nice ass. I'm happy to be leaving. I'm stoked. I'm jazzed. I'm just thinking about how I don't want to be in a car for 8 hours with Ethan right now and whatever he wants from me. Like, get your own fucking ride. The classes were bullshit and way too expensive. Like, it was fine for a year, but like, I don't know, Mama was stressed and Mona was out because she said the city was a rat trap, so I guess, yeah, I had to make the choice for myself. I don't know, I dropped out. It was mean, what I did with that condom, rubbing it in his face. But like, he's so thin-skinned, I couldn't take it. Like, he was dragging on any good feelings I did have. He wouldn't even wash his face, like he didn't care about that. He was just moping around the bathroom and getting drunk when I left the house. Wash your face, Mitch. If you don't like how you look, wash your face. I was in Studio 4, feeling my sacrum, staring across the street while my shoulders released into the ground. What's this gonna be, universe? I was so alone. And it was one night. I was in my early 40s. I had just told Jonathan yes. Up to that point, I had been ambivalent. I was confined to an idea of myself. And I think that confusion came from not knowing what it would mean to sacrifice one part to embrace another part that I didn't even know if I had. I didn't know if I could bring all the parts along. But I knew I didn't want things to continue as they were because I was miserable. No, I wasn't. I was happy. If anything, I was so full of happiness and love for life. Something was changing in me. Molecules, sex. I don't know. Come on, I'm a mechanic. And he was so breathtaking when he played the piano. She looked like a teenage girl. It was crazy. Like I could see through the decades of her skin. I could see all the layers that had been put on her from just being alive and her skin changing. But she was actually this totally basic person behind all her wah-wah. Needed very basic things. Still scared. And so very, very present. I'm so bored. I'm just staring at the screen all day. I gave one flu shot last week, and it's like, this is supposed to be my dream, but what am I doing here? What are they paying me for? Last week, I wore 2 different boots to work. I did. I just pulled them out of the closet in the dark and put them on, and I didn't notice, and one had a mesh back to it, and the other one was kind of similar to it, in color, but it was a different boot. I must have too many boots. I didn't even notice until I'd been there for 5 hours. Well, then I said to Sharon, when Sharon comes through, Sharon, don't look at my feet. Don't look at my feet. And she looks down and just kind of laughs at me. Isn't that funny? I wanted to talk to you about this today. I was thinking about it. I mean, I did the homework. I mean, not that you give me homework. I don't know. It's an experiment. Is that okay? Imagining his tongue inside me in the office on the 9th floor. It's very clear to me. We're talking, and then he gets up from the couch, and he has this kind of swishy hair, and I push back the hair because he's between my legs, and I want to see his eyes. He is unbuttoning my pants. I'm wearing jeans. I think I've started trying to go to my sessions like wearing, clothes he'll like. Like, he clearly has these investments in young women and their style. He's talked about it. And then he asked me if I was married. And I don't want to tell him more than no, I am not married, nor would that have been appropriate. He makes me smile, which is a positive experience for both of us. I imagine him standing over me and placing my hand on the fly of his jeans, looking at me like I know what to do. We should not be doing this, and I know that. Do you know how often I think about dying? Do you know how often I think about pulling the trigger? I sit in this office chair in the center of my awful apartment with a fully loaded gun, and I hold it against this screw in my head. You can touch it. Why not? When this started, I thought we were just having fun. You were very mature for your age, and you were very funny and beautiful. If I took her pants down, I wonder, how much pubic hair does she have? What is the quality of her inner thighs? And what about me do I want to show? We had that conversation about my averse relationship to showering, so she knows I'm grunge as fuck. I think I'm working on actively being myself with people who intimidate me for one reason or another. She knows more and more about me, and this is what I wanted. Why the fuck didn't you tell me you were gay? That would have made my whole life a lot easier. I wouldn't have had to be the only flamer in this fucking nightmare town. You said something like this before, I'm remembering. I didn't know what I was. I'm sorry, it was complicated. I think I was clinging to the possibility that I was bi or something. Sometimes she talks about things and I'm like, what the fuck, I just don't know where she is coming from. We also have great times. We have these times where we are together and laughing, and it's just really fucking easy. She gives me presents, and I'm not thinking about the future. We're just there with the dog. But she's dark, so she rarely talks. I don't believe in pressuring people to talk. Of course, it's harder when there's kids involved. I would think it a damn shame, honey, if we were to make a little one only to head our opposite ways. But I'd never try to keep you someplace that wasn't amenable to your desires. You're in the honeymoon. It's disgusting. You're just insanely in love with each other. And you've been that way for 6 years. A 6-year-long honeymoon? That's disgusting. I don't know why we went to Montreal. It just seemed like something to do. I mean, we never had a honeymoon, am I wrong? We got married in Chicago because my parents were there. And then I had that job. I was making a dance on these very unpleasant actors. But we were always going to go back to New York. There's no question. There just isn't another place to do this seriously. The man, oh, what's his name? The man he grew up with. I can't remember this. I am a very bad girlfriend. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. He took him, over his knee after she threw this brush at him. But the story ended really beautifully because all his things were burnt up in the backyard. He was quiet about it. His face got weird while he was holding the phone in the kitchen, and then he went and cried, but he didn't want me to see him crying even though I tried to hug him. I forgot that that's probably what changed everything. Took him away from us, from me. I'm sorry, I know this isn't about me. It just makes me very emotional. All right. Let me show you this model right over here. You want to sit down? Oh, yeah, we do sit downs. We do sit downs. You know what I'm saying? No. You make yourself real comfortable. And I am going to hit the lever. I can't come home with you, but, well, you could maybe make me an offer. I'm kidding. Let's lower the lights, too. That's nice. That's real nice. Lean back, and now I'm just going to, yeah. How's that? Legs nice and up. I don't normally do this, but I could put some media on. And by media, I mean a movie. Gosh, you folks are swell. You have to go to bed right now. Oh yeah, I'm swelling right now. You need to leave this house right now. This is ending, isn't it? This is ending right now. The writer can no longer shuttle the bodies in endless renditions of first-person wonderment. Consider that this mode of consciousness may also be of another era. Consider alternative modes of consciousness or positions in space to free up destructive thought processes that impede communication with people you want to be close to. Like taking a break mid-fuck to do something utterly unsexual, bouncing on the floor beside the bed 3 times, or while on all fours perform several cat-cows that may or may not be arousing to the other human body trapped between your thighs. Two beady little eyes watched a violent sexual act from the couch of the living room that provided access to the television in the kitchen, where Rain's father was most likely beating off to something black and white. But the screen was so high off the ground, the two beady little eyes paid little attention to what he was doing in relation to the moans and the screams. The woman wore a kimono, and the intense man broke through the glass that separated them and violently grabbed her breast, wrenching it from the garment. Marginalia. If I could have your nipple in my mouth, would I hold it too long? As my mother said, I exhausted her breast. Can I help you with that? Lane gifted her copy of Patriotism to me with a poem or request scattered throughout the pages. The guy kills himself in grander obedience. It's gone now. I have tried to imagine it many times, and I just can't wrap my brain around it. I was repelled by him in real life. In my mind, something else happens that, could we do it? Are we doing it on another planet? A gross, abject planet? A truly liberated planet? You know what I'm talking about. She asked the question of their future. What if? Totally. Now, I'm hardly an optimist. They will continue the destruction and robbery of these lands. They will do so without permission. They will do so without punishment. It's just all about the hammer and expanding the military presence globally. Yeah, I put up with it. I mean, I'm fucking lucky. What with all these stoonages in office? I'm not gonna, get up at 7 a.m. and do what? Call my agent? I'm gonna be taking a snooze, Sister Christian. I just can't get my head right. It's up, it's down. Curly keeps me saying, yeah, right. I just wanted some calm, and there's no calm. And I'm all in for it. It's actually kind of exciting. No, it was boring before she came along. I was just getting fucked up, and I didn't know what I was doing. This is very vulnerable, and you have to imagine a scenario in which people are really ready and open to finding pleasure in you. Oh God, that was the worst. We were literally breaking up, and he was playing this horrible maudlin Fleetwood Mac album. Sometimes, I mean, I'm fucking dead, but sometimes the truth turns itself inside out, and then I'm really alive. I don't know what's coming next. One night I convinced myself she'd actually been sleeping with all of them and that it was my destiny to go forth utterly, completely on my own. I was like, oh, I am married. I am married to my own wretched self. I'm getting out of here. You should get out of here too. You don't have to stay here. I mean, it doesn't have to be that place. If you can't go, it doesn't need to happen right now. But if you keep focusing on it, you will get somewhere else. You will absolutely get somewhere else. Oh yeah, I totally believe that. I like it. I think it's really sexy. It's very specific. It's you. This is for you. It belonged to my grandmother. Do you like it? It's not a secret. Tori knows. She's not an idiot. I respect her. It's a marriage. We discussed it. I think she understood the distance between us in certain regards and who I am. It went on for maybe 4 months, 5. It was very sporadic, the encounters I was having with this woman, and romantic. Didn't hurt anyone. It hurt in a small way, but that was a given. It left marks upon all of us, but no one fundamentally had all the control, which is the problem, often, of trying to villainize anyone. I do not know who I am. When I am not fucking him or fucking someone else, I just lose myself. So when I broke up with my boyfriend at the time, it was so I could see if I was someone when I was not fucking someone. I mean, I guess that changed. I also have a body. You can just fuck people, but not him. He can't only be fucked. He wants too much. For anybody, not just me. But he should be happy. He is deserving of happiness. He has a kid and a fucking asshole ex-wife who's trying to take his money in custody. He needs to talk to me. So yes, Jesse, I'm going to talk to him. That's very nice how that's shaping up. The gradation of the reds. Beautiful work. I'm proud of you. Look at that. Totally. Totally. I am still in love with you, even though you're now see-through. Nothing. Do I love him? No. How do you love a person like that who is so duplicitous? I'm not a total fucking moron. But I do miss it sometimes. Now I see I have other things. And my father lifted me up many times onto his back. I guess the memory comes from the pictures. I don't own them, but I can still see them. So there's the image of me, very small. And this sets off a cascade from the memory of that position. And now that I look like him, and I have a few times felt something smaller crawling over me, depending on me. It's not a circle. It's just some shape that doesn't have a name. These people don't know how to receive love. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're telling me something about myself, Dad? And then there's that story they tell about dropping me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you. This was incredible and very funny. We all need to laugh these days. Thank you. I will now turn it over to Ariel Goldberg, who will introduce Ace.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Jess, that was thrilling. Thank you for being adventurous and being you. All right, I'm trying not to get emotional. I have so many amazing memories of being in this room, and I'm really happy to be here. And thank you, Maren, and everybody who volunteers and works here. All right, so this book is for sale. One of Sam Ace's new books. I want to start by saying, so my introduction, it's the first line. I want to start by saying that to talk about Sam Ace's art and writing is also to talk about the life of Sam Ace. Words are competing for the syntax in my mind to order things into sentences, into the friendly fragment if all else fails. But this is a problem, or the whole messy point of being a poet, the type of poet that I think Sam Ace is, that you're always doing both writing and living. In Normal Sex, which is Sam Ace's first book from 1994, Sam writes, "What would life be without translation?" So you refuse to turn away from intense curiosity and sorrow and this witnessing of not just your life, but the impossibility of taking in through various sensory channels the observations and dream states and fantasies and the real events into one remarkable concoction. In the late 1970s and the early 80s, I think 81 was the date that I elicited from Sam before we began this event. Sam lived on 10th Street, 214 10th Street, 1981 to 1993. You held a lease, but sometimes sublet, like we all do. So that I thought was a kind of important detail from the life of Sam Ace to name, being in this neighborhood in that time. And I have been lucky to be in conversation with Sam a lot lately, and I asked him to describe this apartment to me. And he said it was a typical apartment, and I sort of imagined like cue nostalgic music to when I was an infant and Sam was in the East Village, that an artist, dropped out of their formal studies at a prestigious university to be, in the real university of living in New York City. And I imagine the apartment to be small and filled with noises of the world outside. And there was actually a dispatch of sirens. Literally, there was an ambulance dispatch right next door to the apartment. So these conversations where I've learned bits of Sam Ace's life and been reading his work began, I would say, formally with the launch of Troubling the Line, the trans and genderqueer poetry and poetics anthology published in 2013 with Nightboat Books. And I went to the launch that was at the AWP conference, which stands for Associated Writing Programs. And it was in the back room of a gay bar in Boston, the launch party. And it was really a remarkable occurrence. And I feel like I have sort of been following Sam around ever since then. And I just found this really great quote from Sam's poetics essay in Troubling the Line. The title of the piece is "The Language of the Seeing, the Language of the Blind." And this is what Sam has to say. Poetry is the body. It is not abstract, nor does it describe anything. It is sex, it is song, it is play. It can't be anything but a keyboard or a cry. I take lessons in poetry from sex, because in sex is where all narrative truly falls apart, as we just were listening. Where narrative breaks out of corners, where narrative stops in syncope. I think that's how you say that word, which I looked up on the train means to faint. Where language manages to implode and where fathers become boys or girls and panicked bridges foil the invaders. So how does one make art from life? In the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, the 2020s, and the now, Sam has pivoted between mediums. First, he worked in painting, and then was working in electronic music, performance, improvisation, did poetry, and then brought poetry to the page. One of the fun facts about Sam Ace's life that I'm slowly trying to understand is a particularly transformative writing workshop in Gloria Anzaldua's living room in Brooklyn. And also he was part of a collaborative performance trio that had a sort of punk band-like name called the Overload that performed at such renowned venues as the Wow Cafe. And also Sam started a artist-run space in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, and when living in Tucson was the principal for a school for the blind, hence the title of the poetics essay, The Language of the Seeing, the Language of the Blind. And before that, when he was an artist in New York City and living in those 10th Street apartment, he was also working as a special education teacher in the New York City public schools. And in recent years, Sam has been teaching creative writing at Mount Holyoke College, among other places, facing classrooms where genderqueer and trans students have been born in an era where assimilationist cultural forces smile with tentative acceptance at the terminally perverted, terminally criminal queerdos. And always he is inside this process of unlearning the methodically hidden and relentlessly brutal plain sight violence of the state. And Sam's work waits, perhaps impatiently, for us to find its lasting compass. And he is wonderfully committed to repetition, as you will hear if we hear from this book. I want to start by saying, to the layering, to the playfulness, and the grabbing, to what the body remembers and imagines and combines. So please help me in welcoming Sam Ace.
Ariel, thank you. Jess, that was really amazing. And I just said to Jess, I don't think I can really follow that, but here I am. And I'm really grateful to be here. I was here last in 2019 for a book launch. 2 books came out then, and haven't been in New York much since then. COVID. I'm now in Atlanta. Various reasons. I just can't seem to settle down in one place, but New York is home. And I never feel out of place here, even though New York has changed so much. Just grateful to be here. And let's see, thank you, Maureen, and everybody at the Poetry Project. You've been really wonderful. I'm going to try something different tonight. I'm going to read little excerpts from this new book. I want to start by saying, but I thought I would mix it up just a little bit with some new poems, some older poems, and if we have time, I might play a sound piece at the end, but we'll see. I don't want to take your time so much, but here we go. I'm going to start with the book. This is unusual. If you know my work at all, I don't really use much punctuation, but this book is written in sentences. There are periods, there's punctuation, there's commas, all of it. So, I want to start by saying I hear the filter in the turtle tank like a fountain. I want to start by saying like a fountain in the middle of a field of wildflowers. I want to start by saying that today would have been my father's 84th birthday, that he died 18 days before his 79th. I want to start by saying that he was young and that death took him by surprise. I want to start by saying that my mother died 9 months ago, less than 4.5 years after my father. I want to start by saying the beginning of this sentence. I want to start by saying that a child could have been born in that time. I want to start by saying that a whole year has gone by since my godchild's birth. I want to start by saying on Canada Day, I want to start by saying the fireworks on the porch of a former riverboat inn at Hatfield Point. I want to start by saying the fireworks mark the day. I want to start by saying I celebrate my godchild, not the nation. I want to start by saying my godchild now says bird and boat. I want to start by saying that both my sisters have children who are mostly grown. I want to start by saying I do not know them, the children. I want to start by saying I knew them up until my niece was 9 and my nephew was 7. I want to start by saying when my nephew was 2, he discovered a raccoon while looking out the window of the house in Austerlitz. He pointed and said, "Coo, coo," long before we could identify what he was seeing. I want to start by saying it began to rain last night. It's now past noon the next day and still raining, soft and constant, hidden under the sound of the water filter. I want to start by saying that it's difficult to come to the page. I want to start by saying that I can no longer find my father's last voice message. I want to start by saying that today I read that a German soldier about a German soldier who destroyed a small French town toward the end of World War II. I want to start by saying that the soldier tortured, then killed every person living in that town. I want to start by saying that 75 years later, he is just now being tried for murder. I want to start by saying, I want to call my father. I want to start by saying his voice might still be alive on an old cell phone buried in a box somewhere in my closet. I want to start by saying an archive. I want to start by saying how to retrieve the past. I want to start by saying there are so many versions. I want to start by saying that my closet is filled with intentions. I feel them every morning when I take out my clothes, get dressed, and close the door. I want to start by saying that the intentions are always waiting. I want to start by saying that last night 9 people were murdered at an AME church in Charleston. I want to start by saying that yesterday, U.S. soldiers in Nevada operating drones over Afghanistan murdered a family of 5. I want to start by saying my father would have cried watching Obama sing Amazing Grace. I want to start by saying that I cried, but what are tears? I want to start by saying that I cry whenever I see a baby being born. I want to start by saying on TV or in a movie. I want to start by saying it feels like a deep and shredding grief. I want to start by saying on TV. I want to start by saying, will I ever witness a baby being born? I want to start by saying, I want to hear my father's voice. I want to start by saying that I think through my fingers, my shoulders, my eyes when they are closed. I want to start by saying it's the movement of my hands on a keyboard that I love, not the residue or the aftermath. I want to start by saying not even the words. I want to start by saying that somewhere I have just passed 730 words. Auspicious because 7 plus 3 plus 0 equals 10 equals 1, which is a lucky number. I want to start by saying that somewhere I've passed 3,561 characters. Auspicious because 3 plus 5 plus 6 plus 1 equals 15 equals 6, which is also lucky. I have checked. I want to start by saying that when I pump gas or consider an address as a place to live, I want the total to equal 1, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, or 12. I want to start by saying that I constantly add numbers inside my head. I want to start by saying should I delete the first 6 words? They are probably unnecessary. I want to start by saying that I'd like to hold on to them for a while. They are lucky. I want to start by saying that I am in love with someone who has a chronic illness. I want to start by saying that I research fecal transplants, pituitary gland tumors, Lyme disease, ME/CFS, antibiotics, immune boosters, immunosuppressants, antifungal agents, magnetic therapies, hormone deficiencies, gluten-free carbohydrates, ashwagandha, stevia, and Japanese knotweed. I want to start by saying that this morning I advised my love to swallow his spit in order to strengthen his immune system. I want to start by saying I need to stop giving advice. I want to start by saying that I am not living in my home. I want to start by saying that I have possessions in a small apartment in Tucson, Arizona, also in a 5x5 indoor storage facility, also in Tucson, also in my ex-wife's garage, also piled inside a 9,000 square foot warehouse in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. I also have a small shelf of books, some files, an AeroPress coffee maker, 2 stainless steel salad servers, a stainless steel ladle, a nearly 6-foot drawing I drew and gave to my parents for their anniversary almost 40 years ago, and a large gouache painted by my mother with vertical blue and black brushstrokes that, seen together, look something like a dancing woman. I want to start by saying that several drawers of clothes are in Florence, Massachusetts, where I am now. The gouache and the drawing are all I have from my mother's last apartment. I want to start by saying, what is home? All right, so yes. I thought I'd, let's see. Oh, okay. Too many, that's all right. Oh, I'm going to put it right here. There's a little shelf that's much more stable. All right. This is a poem called I Was Called Back into the Dark During an Early Morning Flyover. I was called back into the dark during an early morning flyover onto a rusty mauve plain, fields overrun with a low river of tar. The smell of burning grass carried from the east, flowing upward through neon bright signs of pharmaceuticals and snow, a bronze liquid of promise, a fleeting and always ending sleep, the remains of chipped concrete eating away the foundations of every building, tables of salt rising over the whole country. I was called onto a platform in the north, a miles-wide outpost where I sat waiting to hear what new harm my sisters had conjured. They reached me by phone, through a star or their dreams, a breaking request from our father that had traveled through a long and oily channel. I could understand the beauty, the rainbow-thick shimmer of pigment and poison, a seeping fissure of love before the apocalypse, the rune, or just the overhanging clouds. Yesterday, a maker of brine and sauerkraut told me the world would end by corrosion and decay. I'm not so sure. I hear the quiet eruption between refusal and insistence, or maybe just a truck driving through. I want to start by saying that I write the beginning of the sentence in order to write this sentence. I want to start by saying that this sentence is a subject. I want to start by saying that sometimes I need words to be in the way. I want to start by saying that I have taken out the beginning, but I am back at the beginning. I want to start by saying that I want to write away from my family. I want to start by saying I keep writing about family. I want to start by saying that the past is a rupture, no matter what I do. I want to start by saying that indignity is such a dignified word. Demean feels closer to what happened. I want to start by saying that I am suspicious of storytelling. I want to start by saying that I am suspicious of self-pity. I want to start by saying that I too am culpable. I want to start by saying that I looked at my skin today and saw my age. I want to start by saying that my hairline has receded to the back of my head, my beard and the hair around my ears almost completely white. I want to start by saying that I often do not believe I am getting older. I want to start by saying that I am taking a walk. I want to start by saying that I cannot identify which birds are singing this morning. I wonder, is that a robin, a rose-breasted grosbeak, or a purple finch? I want to start by saying that I am back to being bound up in love. I want to start by saying I am avoiding the subject. I want to start by saying that this morning I had to get up and walk downstairs in order to hear myself. I want to start by saying family. I want to start by saying pause. I want to start by saying my mother's death. I want to start by saying that I sat quietly in a waiting room at the hospital where my father was dying. My mother and my two sisters sat in a different waiting room down the hall. They forbade me to join them. I want to start by saying that I stared at the green flecked vinyl on the floor. It reminded me of the vinyl floor in my childhood dentist's office. I want to start by saying that I sat next to my father's brother. He looked bloated and exhausted. He's closer in age to me than he was to my father. I want to start by saying he told me he needed a scotch. I want to start by saying that my father's father bullied his sons. I want to start by saying, I remember my grandfather saying, "You are going to be a looker." I want to start by saying, when I was 4. I want to start by saying, "You look so sexy." I want to start by saying, when I was 6. I want to start by saying that my father's sister died in the 40s from a reaction to sulfa drugs, but maybe it was something else. I want to start by saying that's the story I was told. I want to start by saying she was 8 years old. I want to start by saying that my grandmother had a breakdown. I want to start by saying that's the story I was told. I want to start by saying that my grandfather committed my grandmother to an institution. I want to start by saying, or did her psychiatrist, or did my grandmother herself? I want to start by saying that after my grandfather died, my grandmother was diagnosed with lung cancer. I traveled to Cleveland to be with her. I want to start by saying I slept in my father's bedroom, or had it become his brother's. I want to start by saying I remember a desk built into a corner of the room. On the desk, a beige dial telephone and a small pad of paper embossed with the logo of my grandfather's construction company, 2 single beds with small bookshelves for headboards. I want to start by saying that in the center of the telephone's dial was a handwritten number that began with the letters YE. I want to start by saying as if my father or his brother had never left. I want to start by saying I found 2 volumes by Zane Grey on the shelves, nothing else. I want to start by saying that my grandmother and I sat in the den watching TV. She lay on the couch while I sat across from her in my grandfather's brown and plaid recliner. I want to start by saying that my grandmother wore a nightgown and a soft pink robe. I want to start by saying that she asked me about my book. I want to start by saying my family would not speak to me because of it. I want to start by saying as if what I wrote was the truth. I want to start by saying, was it the truth? I want to start by saying that my grandmother said there were things she would only ever tell her psychiatrist. I want to start by saying, what were those things? I want to start by saying her father was a salesman, and when she was young, he would bring her with him on business trips. I want to start by saying he would often visit his clients in local bars. I want to start by saying my grandmother's eyes looked up at the ceiling as she talked. I want to start by saying she told me her father would pick her up and put her on top of the tall bar counters where he would drink and show her off to his clients. I want to start by saying that her story stopped there. I want to start by saying, I don't know what my great-grandfather was selling. I don't remember if my grandmother told me or not. I want to start by saying that my grandfather was dead 2 years by the time we had this conversation. I want to start by saying the shuffleboard painted on my grandparents' basement floor. I want to start by saying the rubber shrunken head souvenirs in the storage closet, the black and white snapshots of horses and cacti from a Tucson vacation. I want to start by saying I wanted to save my grandmother. I want to start by saying her paintings of rabbis and clowns also in the basement. I want to start by saying her yellow kitchen with one wall covered in a pattern of horse and buggy silhouettes. I want to start by saying that I close my eyes and dream I am hiding something. I want to start by saying I wake up. I want to start by saying I am baffled that I am living and traveling like a student. I want to start by saying that even so, I'm afraid of losing everything. I want to start by saying, it's hot in this room. I want to start by saying, I can't fall back to sleep. I want to start by saying that I've been out of the house twice today. I want to start by saying that now I am sitting with a friend over coffee. She mourns the loss of friends because she's in love with someone who is trans. I want to start by saying the familiarity of so many stories. I want to start by saying that I mourn the rise of rivers, the smell of creosote, the relief of summer monsoons. I want to start by saying that the dreams have not stopped, but this morning I do not remember them. I want to start by saying that I feel like a planet covered with a veil. I want to start by saying I am waiting for some news. I want to start by saying I want to get rid of the beginnings. I want to start by saying that the beginning of the sentence is like a slide, a way to prepare. I want to start by saying an easing in. I want to start by pulling open the curtains. I want to start by saying I'm afraid I don't know how to change the course of things. I want to start by saying his body. I want to start by saying I begin the day holding him. I want to start by saying that I love the hair on his legs, his beard, his chest. I want to start by saying that yesterday we had sex twice. I want to start by saying once as we were falling asleep. I want to start by saying that as I spooned him, I began to trace the hair on his inner thighs, brushing his underwear just below his cock. I want to start by saying that I went carefully as I knew he was tired, but he pushed against me, so I continued. I want to start by saying it gave me pleasure to feel the quickening of his body, the inevitable. I want to start by saying I rested my hand between the crack of his ass and his cock. I want to start by saying I slept. All right. How are we doing, everyone? You doing okay? All right. Okay. Since Ariel and I were talking about this poem, I thought I'd read it, and it just seems pertinent for the times we're in. It's called Not Dangerous Until Yesterday. Not dangerous until the sky turned yellow, and the he in him, as in him, began to swim through the kitchen faucet. Not dangerous until a rumble in my anus, until grief threatened a spillway. Not dangerous until a bird became a bomb. Not dangerous until yesterday. Not dangerous until his breath. Not dangerous until I was handed a pen. Not dangerous until a cockroach came through the wall with a piece of bread. Not dangerous until the child. Not dangerous until the alarm. Not dangerous until he stopped to ask. Not dangerous until he brought some milk. Not dangerous until his hands. And this also, I wrote this right after 2016. So I thought I'd read it right after the last Trump election. So, but yeah, I thought I'd just read it tonight. It's called These Nights. I've left the door open to the vision coming through the dark. His arms filter through the flowered ceiling, unsealed from the jeweled tree in the window. His organ hurtles through the air into the pond where I search for a mirror and some softer chalk, a surface so pliable, so dug and raw that the baby's breathy touch, the wind, some creosote so faint, begs the otter to swim on this, my first and last day. But it's early morning in someone else's house. Out the window, a New England dawn, mist on the green and turquoise bed, the pound of feet upstairs, then a rush of cold air, a walk down the stairs, a winter relationship or a pact of privacy before the lights come on. What's left is the result of criminals. The orange, a rendering, some thready hope that the white man lost, but he did not lose. Could it not be night again? A boy, his beard, his hat, the only orange intact inside our bed. Our hold heading down as if it were a normal day. When our viewing habits were not caught up public on the street. How did they know? Did I somehow tip them off? First, they took my sweater, then the card with his name, then stumbling, they marched us down the long-hauled building to a cell, the blood fountain, where soon I even lost the ocean smell of wind in the after-rot rushing from the open doors of trains. So this new book takes place in many places. One of them is in Cleveland, where I was born, and I think I'll just. How are we doing on time here? Let me see here. Okay. I want to start by saying 1964. I want to start by saying that I believe 10 was the best age. I had finally arrived at 2 digits, and 1 + 0 = 1. I want to start by saying that the brothers across the street played outside with their grandfather's rifle from World War II. The stock was made from honey-colored wood. I want to start by saying I loved the sound of its metal bolt when it turned and clicked into place. I want to start by saying that a black Ford Thunderbird with a porthole window sat in their driveway. I want to start by saying the mansions at the end of the street backed up to a golf course. I want to start by saying the sand traps on the golf course became trenches for our war games. The golfers were our enemies. I want to start by saying that we got kicked off the golf course almost every time we played there. I want to start by saying there was a rumor about the Van Swerigen brothers who built Shaker Heights. I want to start by saying single beds in the same room. I want to start by saying the brothers never married. I speculate. I want to start by saying when they woke up in the morning, did they share their dreams? I want to start by saying that the Van Swerigens wrote restrictive covenants into their plans. I want to start by saying that in the 50s and 60s, Jews and blacks moved into Shaker Heights. I want to start by saying that the press said that they were welcomed. I want to start by saying they were not welcomed. I want to start by saying the language of my childhood. What was said around the dinner table? I want to start by saying WASP. I want to start by saying something specific. I want to start by saying 3139 Montgomery Road, a bigger house than the one we moved into, but that we moved from, but smaller compared to the mansions at the end of the street. I want to start by saying another 16. Oh no, 16 was in my superstitious mind, an unlucky number, but that was earlier in the book. I want to start by saying that the woman who cleaned my ex-wife's house told her that the number 16 is dangerous. I want to start by saying my ex was superstitious. I want to start by saying we shared certain beliefs. I want to start by saying that when I was 10 and a half, my mother forbade me to wear jeans or to play with the boys across the street. And I'm going to skip a little here just for time, and let's see, 78. Okay, I want to start by saying that the Huff neighborhood in Cleveland burned the July before I went to junior high school. A white bar owner had refused a black customer a drink of water. I want to start by saying that my mother began to talk about buying a gun. I want to start by saying that my parents argued about this loudly and often. I want to start by saying, what if? I want to start by saying, like when she threw dishes against the wall. I want to start by saying often. I want to start by saying if she came after me. I want to start by saying, would she do it? By a gun. I want to start by saying there were riots for weeks. 4 people were killed, all of them black. I want to start by saying that when I was 12, the city was on fire. I want to start by saying that the history I learned in school had no bones. I want to start by saying that the teachers at school did not talk to us about the city that was on fire, like it wasn't our city or anyone's, or that it didn't exist. I want to start by saying that when I lived in Shaker Heights, I often dreamt of dungeons and torture. I woke up sexually aroused. I want to start by saying I smelled something rotting. I want to start by saying the deep orange skies of the monsoon. I want to start by saying that we have returned to Tucson. I want to start by saying that while our friends are away, we are taking care of their little house, their dark rooms and heavy wood benches. I want to start by saying I fall asleep in my love's arms. I want to start by saying I think about waking up alone. I wonder if that might be the future. I want to start by saying the yellow butterfly bush, the light magenta bougainvillea, and the deep red flowers in the barrel cactus. I want to start by saying the smell of creosote. I want to start by saying that at first our arrival felt dusty. I want to start by saying the desire to buy a house on the second day. I want to start by saying that my friend S told me my boyfriend looked like Jesus. I want to start by saying I found Jesus on a prayer card at the mission. I want to start by saying that the Jesus on the prayer card was white and very thin, with long blonde hair and a blonde beard. I want to start by saying that my love does resemble the prayer card Jesus. I want to start by saying gay Jesus. I want to start by saying that at the mission I also found an 8.5 by 11-inch holographic portrait of Jesus and Mary. I want to start by saying that tilting the card one way shows Jesus. I want to start by saying that tilting the card the other way shows Mary. I want to start by saying that holding the card steady in the middle shows Jesus and Mary merged together. I want to start by saying trans Jesus, trans Mary. All right. Do you guys feel up for listening to a sound piece just to end? So, okay. So this will take us out on a quiet note. That baby I imagined actually came into my life 3.5 years ago, so I have an almost 4-year-old. And I made a little sound piece. It's called Isa's Lullaby. And I'll read it. It's a short poem. I'm just going to read it out loud so you hear it, because it's sometimes not so clear in the piece. So it's this is the poem. I give myself the same 7 minutes and close my eyes inside the old refrigerator hum that takes the contents of my heart and pours them into the morning. I think to make something as precious as you, so my fingers begin to perform. But I hate to perform, so my hands rebel and take me back to bed to be with you, new creature of this world. So much like a tree, or closer to a sapling or a seed, your entire life manifest in the silence of the bedroom and the whoosh of your heart. In your rest, I touch your side, and you already know to stretch into my hand, eyes wide open, as serious as the eucalyptus at the corner of the house, 2 doors down. You stare at and through me to where no one and nothing performs. Dear daughter of creation, how do you know to do this? How does a seed know the largest branch, the respiration of the planet? Just to take us out on a gentle I give myself the same 7 minutes and close my eyes inside the old refrigerator hum that takes the contents of my heart and pours them into the morning. I need to make something as precious as you, so my fingers begin to perform. But really, I hate to perform, and my hands rebel and take me back to bed to be with you, new creature of this world, so much like a tree or closer to a seed, your entire life manifests in the silence of the bedroom and the pulse of your heart. I touch your side, And already you know to stretch into my hand, eyes wide open, as serious as the eucalyptus on the corner of the house 2 doors down. I need to make something as precious as you. So my fingers begin to perform, but really, I hate to perform. And my hands
Dear
rebel,
child of creation,
take me
how
back to bed
do you
to be
know
with
to
you.
do this?
New creature,
How
of
does a
this
seed
world,
know the
so much
largest
like a
branch,
tree,
the
or closer
respiration
to
of
a
the planet?
seed, your entire life manifests.
I touch your side
in the silence,
and already
of the
you
bedroom
know
and
to
the
stretch into
pulse.
my hand,
Eyes wide open.
I touch your
as serious
side,
as the
and
eucalyptus
already
on the
you know
corner
how
of
to
the
stretch
house
into
2
my
doors
hand.
down. Eyes wide open, as serious as the eucalyptus on the corner. You stare at and through me to where no one and nothing performs. You stare at and through me to where no one and nothing performs.
Dear child of creation,
child
how
of
do you
creation,
know to do this?
how do you know to do this?
How does a seed
How
know
does
the
a seed
largest
know
branch,
the largest
the respiration
branch,
of the
respiration
planet?
of the planet? What goddess, dear tree, sees into a baby's eyes, into the shoulder that burrows into my arm, or the spine that recoils from being awakened, arm stretching into a heaven known by every elephant or skunk, bat or hummingbird? What visit from the past are you, tiny one? What goddess, dear tree, sees into a baby's eyes, into the shoulder that burrows into my arm, or the spine that recoils from being awakened, arm
All my
stretching
ambition has
into
hidden
a
away
heaven known
in the
by
new
every
refrigerator
elephant
replaced just
or
today
skunk,
by 2
bat or
boys,
hummingbird.
each wearing a
What
kind of
visit from
harness
the
to
past
carry the
are
whole
you,
appliance
tiny one?
on their shoulders. Now a whole house and 2 parents carried on the shoulders of a baby.
All my ambition has hidden away in the new refrigerator replaced just today by 2 boys, each wearing a kind of harness to carry
Now
the
a whole
whole
house
appliance
and 2
on their
parents
shoulder.
carried on the shoulders of a baby.
My father gone 11 years. What would he make of this child, related so far back,
All my ambition has
only
hidden
by the
away
blood of
in
all
the new
Jews?
refrigerator,
But here you
replaced
are,
just today
so
by 2
much in the
boys,
world
each
because of
wearing
him.
a kind of harness
Perhaps he has
to
come
carry
back
the
a child
whole
himself
appliance on their
in time
shoulders.
for a cup of
Now
tea
a
and
whole
a breakfast
house and
of
2
ancient
parents
grains.
carried on the shoulders of a baby.
My father gone 11 years. What would he make of this child, related so far back only by the blood of all Jews? But here you are, so much in the world, because of him. Perhaps he has come back, a child himself in time for a cup of tea and a breakfast of ancient grains.
Thank you. I could have listened to it one more time. Thank you. That was so beautiful, Sam. Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you, Ariel. Thank you, SJ, for these beautiful introductions. Thank you all for coming. I also want to thank the staff working tonight, Heather, Kay, and Will. I want to thank our techs, Noah and Serene, as well as all our volunteers. Thank you all for coming, and please come back to the Poetry Project. Thank you.
Tomorrow night at Topos real quick.
Sorry? Oh yeah, there's an announcement.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Tomorrow night at Topos 2 in Ridgewood, Sam, Ace, and I will be in conversation, part of a new radio project with Ryder, who's here. Yay, Ryder, Alsop, and Taylor Cook. So please come out. It's free, 7 p.m., Topos 2.